Welcome back to the Midlife Crisis. This might be a rambler, might not be, might have a point to it. I think it does have a point to it. And the point that I think it has is I was reflecting. I do that periodically just to make sure that I am on what I consider to be the right path. Just to make sure I'm okay with myself. I'm okay with the person in the mirror. And I always started off with asking how I feel. This morning was no different. But in the course of checking myself and seeing how I feel, oh, that's what that was. I just found out a tree fell in my neighborhood. Good thing it was not on my home. That is interesting. Very, very interesting. I don't know if not, well, it don't look like lightning hit. Wasn't no burn. But anyway, sorry, getting back to it. Told you, might be a rambler. Yeah. I started to reflect when I was checking on myself and asking how I was doing. I started to reflect on my drug usage and my alcohol usage. And I think this morning I'm 475 days sober, maybe 476. I have to double check just to be sure. But I realized I just didn't want it anymore. Don't want alcohol, don't want drugs. It was nothing heavy. It was weed, but it was I don't want it anymore. And I started to think about why I even did it in the first place. And that's where the rabbit hole started. It's just I started thinking about everything that I was going through at the time and what the alcohol and the drugs would make me do. And it was basically, I'll start there, like, getting high and getting drunk. Yeah, it's a fine social thing, and, people need to unwind, and I still believe in that. I wholeheartedly believe in people unwinding, people letting go, people, unplugging from, the day-to-day. But I don't know if that's, looking back on it, I don't know if that's the best way to unplug, because, one, it's chemically induced. And two, it's not like I'm doing it and I'm reflecting on what I could do better and what I could do differently and how I could achieve more and things like that. It's just hours out of the day where I'm just lethargic and stupid, just dumb. I'm just not thinking any thoughts. Why would I ever want that? I got to a point in my life where I didn't want to deal with stress. I didn't want to deal with hardships. I didn't want to deal with injustice. I didn't want to deal with unfairness. The only thing I could see at the time were things that weren't happening for me. I would have friends that got promoted and would be making a whole bunch of money, and I was only happy for those friends on the surface. I was only happy that they got those positions, outwardly, because inwardly I'm asking myself the question, why don't I have it? Why isn't that for me? Why? I'm smart enough. I'm smarter than this individual. Why can't I be making that money? It took me to a dark place, a place that I remember going to on the opposite side of my youth when I got promoted, and those people that were around me weren't happy for me. I lost friendships over doing better for myself. And here I am on the other side of it at the time. And like I said, I didn't want to deal with pain. I took comfort in those things that I did well, but I committed the cardinal sin of resting on my laurels. I wasn't trying to continue to work on those things that I did well, fighting, cooking, figuring things out. I wasn't trying to consistently hone those crafts. I was reliant on the fact that I already had honed them, so that I already had them in my repertoire. I already had them in my bag. So I didn't necessarily need to do anything further along those lines, but I had a whole bunch of time to just dwell in self-loathing and self-doubt of why don't I have these things? Why are these things happening to me? And alcohol and weed were a respite for that. Alcohol and weed were a way that I didn't have to think about that. It was almost like going and living life was like clocking into work. And I got to a point where it was like, all right, I've done my time for the day. I've done my time outside in the world. I've talked to people. I've interacted. I've gone to work. I've, talked to my family. I've done all of these things. Now I get to check out. Now I get to not have to think about it and worry about anything. And as much as I, rag on certain individuals for checking out, you know what I'm saying? If the kids are too loud, you check out. If the job is too hard, you check out. As much as I tell everybody else there's no checking out, that's exactly what I was doing. I was checking out. You get high, you get drunk, and the world just ceases to exist. I'm not even going to say it melts away. It just ceases to exist. And you can sit there in whatever drunken stupor that you're in for however long it lasts. And for a point in time, you can be blissful. But when I actually stopped, when I actually sobered up and looked back on what I was doing during that time and how much time I actually missed, it made me realize I was taking time for granted. And that seems stupid for me to say now, because none of us know how much time we have. None of us know whether or not this is going to be the last, car ride into work. None of us know if we're going to make it home. None of us know if we're going to, wake up tomorrow. And instead of cherishing every moment for what it is, because you take it for granted, meaning that you automatically assume that this is going to happen, you're going to get this stuff. So instead of cherishing it and appreciating it, you say, fuck it, I can waste off a couple of hours and get drunk. I can waste off a couple of hours and be high. And again, I'm not saying that there's not a time and place to unplug and relax and just let everything go. However, I got to a point with my abuse that I was doing it daily. I got to a point where it was routine. I got to a point where it was expected that at least 6 hours of my day, I wasn't going to be at my full conscious level. And I was okay with that. And again, saying that out loud, saying all of this out loud is what helps to keep me sober, because it's realizing exactly what it is. I'm not trying to take anything from it. I'm not trying to add anything to it, but knowing that, yeah, I was chasing after those moments, and the reason why. Like, it's not the drug. It's not the drug. It's your reasons for taking the drug in the first place. What is it that I was trying to escape? And what I was trying to escape was life, because I couldn't figure out how to get the promotion. I couldn't figure out how to make things better for me. I couldn't figure out the answer that would make everything right. And that also made me think of a video that I saw last night about some engineers who, they built this robot, this actual real life 3D, robot made of real materials that you can touch and squeeze, that can flip across a rooftop like Spider-Man does in the comic books. And they did it specifically for the movie. But they started off building it by just building a stick with one hinge. And if they can make that hinge pop on that stick when they wanted it to, they started there. And the engineer that was being interviewed said, that's what I think the problem is with most engineers. We all try to start building the finished product. We all try to start building that Spider-Man. We don't try to start with the stick with the one hinge. We don't do that. And I think that's a theory that applies to life. I know it's a theory that definitely applied to me. I was already looking for the end game. I was already looking for the end product. What should happen after years of whatever, or after a certain amount of time is put in, whether that's weeks, years, months, or days. I'm looking at the end. And why don't I have that end product? I am missing the fact that all of this other stuff needs to be invested before that. Because I wanted the quick and easy answer. I wanted the quick and easy thing that was going to solve the issue. And if I couldn't have it, then I didn't want to think about it. So I escaped it with drugs and alcohol. I had no idea how much time I was actually wasting doing that. Because in being sober, and seeing every moment of the day when I hadn't for so long, and seeing every opportunity that I have, slow motion is better than no motion. So no, I don't have the end product. I don't have, how all of that's going to work out. But what I do have, I can work with what I do have, and what I do have is that one stick and that one hinge. And if I can make that one stick and that one hinge work the way that I want it to work, and work out all of the things with that, then maybe I can put two sticks together. Then if I can put 2 together, then maybe 4. And if I can make 4 work, then maybe 8. And I can keep growing, even though it just started off with 1. Eventually, it's going to grow into something better. And I saw that, again, when I took the money that I was using to buy weed and alcohol and just started saving it. Oh my God. The amount of stuff that I'm able to actually purchase, the amount of financial freedom that I couldn't find for myself back then, I'm starting to find for myself now. Again, it's not gobs and gobs of money. It's not nothing like that, but it's something. And it's something that grew from nothing. It's almost like watching plants grow, if anybody out there gardens. You know, you put that seed in the ground and eventually you see it turn into that seedling. You know, it breaks through the dirt. It starts to come through. It starts to want to live. It starts to want to experience life, and then it keeps getting grower. It keeps getting bigger and bigger. It grows faster and faster, or more and more. Soon it starts to yield fruit. But it started from that small seed, and it started from you cultivating it and watering the ground, even when you didn't see anything. You just had the hope that something else was going to come out of it, and you had to put fertilizer down, and you had to put mulch down, and you had to keep watering it, and you had to go out there and keep talking to it, and you had to keep it, you know, a certain temperature. Like you had to nurture it in order for it to happen. You know, same thing with child rearing. You have that little baby that can't do nothing, that's sitting there, you know, crying and peeing and doing all over the place or whatever, and you have to nurture it. You've got to keep it warm. You've got to keep it happy. You've got to keep it fed. You gotta do everything that you can do for the child, because eventually it's going to grow, and they grow fast, and eventually they start bearing fruit. It's no different than in any other facet of life, but because I was conditioned in a way that I think we're all similarly conditioned with having it now. Like, it's got to happen now. There is no waiting. There is no time off. There is no time to waste. It's got to happen now. Because I couldn't make it happen now, and because it wasn't happening now, I didn't want to think about that. I wanted to ignore it. I wanted to go the opposite way, and drugs and alcohol was the way to do that. Don't get me wrong. It is definitely a way to not have to worry about anything, but there's another way that people don't talk about. There's another way. It's a lot harder and it's a lot longer, but you can work incessantly in your life to get to a point where you're not worried about anything. And that should be, take that back. That needs to be the goal for everyone. To get to a point in your life where you're not worried about anything. To get to a point in your life where you can say, I can do what I want to do today, not because I'm trying to act like somebody on TV, not because I'm trying to, create this false life for myself that I really don't have. No, I need to take a step in that direction every day, because my end goal is to not have anything that I need to worry about. And that sounds like perfection, and perfection doesn't exist, but that's a goal that I think everybody should work toward every day. So yeah, what's this mean? What does it mean to wake up and realize that I don't even want the drugs anymore? I don't even want the alcohol anymore. How do you live? Well, it's what my bracelet says. That's my watch. What's what my bracelet says? One day at a time. You just take it one day at a time. Look at everything that's out there for you, that's out there, that's presented to you, and do your best to understand it. And instead of avoiding things like injustice and pain and unfairness and things of that nature, like, bring them to the table. I work out. I'm on my journey back, because of what alcohol has done to my body. So I'm journeying back to change those things and to get my martial prowess back, and to be able to walk as freely and as pain-free as I once did. So C.T. Fletcher, I think I've talked about him before, interesting individual, but he has this video that I saved where he's talking to pain. And he's saying, fuck you, pain. Ain't no way I'm gonna let you, stop me from doing what I need to do today. I've been knowing you for, I've been kicking your ass for 35 years, I think he says. And today ain't gonna be the day that I'm gonna let you win. So fuck you, pain. And I like that. Why? Because it brought pain to the table. It acknowledged it. Instead of trying to run from it and act like it doesn't exist, instead of acting like you shouldn't experience pain, acknowledge the fact that pain's here. Acknowledge the fact that pain's not gonna go anywhere. Pain is a part of life. Pain is a friend of yours that you've been knowing since you've been here. Think about it. It's always been here. It's always been right there for you. You can't think of a moment in your life where pain hasn't been somewhere around. So instead of hating pain and ignoring pain and trying to act like pain ain't there and doesn't exist and things like that, let's get acquainted with pain. But if you can do that with pain, because it has helped me, instead of me saying, yeah, I don't want to hurt, it's gonna hurt, so on and so forth. Yeah, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt any other day. So let's go through the hurt and let's get it done. But if I can do that with pain, I think it's a good exercise to do that also with unfairness, with injustice, with uncertainty, with doubt. Bring all of them to the table. Like, that is my Justice League. Those are the people that I want to talk to first thing every morning. In addition to happiness, in addition to joy, in addition to satisfaction, I want to talk to all of those people as though I'm in a board meeting every day with myself, so that I can understand and know exactly what's about to happen. And the good thing is, that's a very easy board meeting, because you know what pain's going to do. Pain's been doing it ever since you've been alive. You know what pain's going to do. You know what injustice is going to do. You know what suffering is going to do. You know what doubt's going to do. You know what all of these things are going to do. So now that you know that they're here, let's come up with an effective plan to make sure that we're all still getting what we want. Y'all can still do what you do. Pain, you can still make that part of my back hurt for whatever reason that you like playing right there at this point in time. You go ahead and do your thing. But what I'm also going to do is push forward with perseverance. What I'm also going to do is push forward with consistency and make sure that even though that pain that's right there in my back, I'm still going to work through it. I'm still going to do what I need to do, even though that pain is going to exist. So keep doing what you're doing, pain, but I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing too. Because what I've learned in life is, the more you acknowledge it and just work through it, the less the less it hurts. Pain's still doing its thing, but it just doesn't hurt as much. And then after a while, pain moves on and does something different. It goes to a different part of your life. And you still got to push forward. But if you can do that with pain, do it with uncertainty. Do it with doubt. Do it with injustice. Don't expect that your boss is going to see everything that you're doing and everything that you're contributing. They won't. But push through it anyway. Forge your plan. Work incessantly every day at not having anything to worry about. I think I'll end it on this note. I feel good. I feel good that I no longer need one of those things that I thought that I needed. And I gained a new perspective that's going to help me, even if it doesn't propel me forward like a rocket ship, it'll help me to take another step.